Our next example uses a nested if to compute the absolute difference between two cell values. In this case, what we want to do is check to see if A is greater than B or B is greater than A, and depending on the result, compute the difference between the two cell values. If the two cells are equal, then we just store 0 in the resulting cell. Just like with a simple if statement, you start with an equal sign, and then type in the if function, and then the opening parenthesis. For this one, the first thing we'll check to see is if the contents of B1 are greater than B2. So we'll type in B1 greater than B2, and then next we put a comma, and the formula to compute the difference between the two cell values. B1 minus B2. At this point, we've done the work to determine what to do if B1 is greater than B2. Now we have to figure out what to do if B2 is greater than B1. So we put a comma, and in the else part of the if function, we're going to put another if statement without an equal sign this time. So I'm going to type in if, the opening parenthesis, B2 is greater than B1, comma, and what to do if that particular condition is true. I'll take B2 minus B1, followed by a comma. Finally, I'll put 0, which is what I want to store in the cell if the two values referenced are equal. So I'll put a 0, and now I'll do a closing parenthesis. The first closing parenthesis is for the innermost if statement. In other words, the one checking B2 greater than B1. So I need to put one more closing parenthesis to match up with the outer if statement. And you'll notice that when I type that parenthesis, Excel will briefly show the two matching parentheses in bold. That's a good way to check to make sure you've got the parenthesis in the right place. And I do. So now I can hit enter, and I see that the difference is 15 because B1 is 15 greater than B2. Let's change B2 to be 99 and see what the result is. 44. And just eyeballing it, that looks like the right result. Finally, I need to check to see what happens if the two cells are equal. So I'll type 99 up here in B1, and I should get 0. I do. So this is an example of a nested if. These do show up from time to time. The general structure is you have your equal sign if, your opening parenthesis, your outermost condition, in this case B1 greater than B2, a comma, what to do if that condition is true, a comma, and then a nested if. Notice that the nested if does not have an equal sign in front. We just have if, opening parenthesis, the inner condition, comma, what to do if that inner condition is true, and then finally a comma, and what to do if that inner condition is false. Then we have to make sure we put closing parentheses matching up with the opening parentheses. So the first one matches up with the inner if, the second one matches with the outer if. Now you can make nested ifs that are extremely complex. For example, we could have another if statement in this else section, and we can continue this on a number of layers. But I think you get the idea. We can use nested ifs when we have slightly more complex conditions to check for.